Well, have you seen the last couple of reviews of the Mossberg MC1 by Riders Range? We did an out of the box to the range, had some issues with it. We did a redemption on it when it finally stopped having issues with the slide not going into battery. And then we also compared the MC1 with the SIG 365, and again we mentioned some of the issues with it. Biggest issues I have with this are the trigger. Two issues specifically with the trigger. One was a two-stage trigger feel. I get one stage there, it hit a wall at about right after the take-up, and then it'd go through that wall and hit another one. And we figured out what part of the problem is. We'll go into that in just a second. The other issue was where on the trigger reset, and you can still see it there where the trigger's trying to pinch the bottom of my finger. And I got a blister. I'm right-handed, but I'm demonstrating this left-handed for the camera. I got a blister on the inside of my trigger finger after about 250 shots in one day that I attribute to that particular trigger. So we have a cure for that, not a complete cure, but at least somewhat of a fix. But first off, let's look at what the two-stage trigger issue was. So remember to disassemble it, push in on the backing plate, pull down, striker assembly comes out, slide goes forward. So, and again, I'm not sure the technical nomenclature of all the parts, but the trigger right here, this piece here, let's see if I can move it. It's under spring pressure to hold it back. The trigger spring actually pulls back on it. So as the trigger comes back, you can see it's hitting. Again, I'm not sure the technical names of it, but it is starting to hit this piece right here, and then the trigger goes down. It was hanging up there, a little bit of lube and a little bit of polishing where those two parts meet. Made a difference. It didn't cure it, but it made a difference. I haven't found online where there's any replacement trigger parts for this yet. I've got replacement triggers, the trigger bars in a number of my other guns, particularly the Glocks and the Shield, but haven't found anything yet for the Mossberg. So by doing some polishing, putting a little lube on there, that has taken care of the two-stage problem. Now it's still a little gritty in there, and you can still feel a little bit of a first stage, but nowhere near as significant as it was the first time. Second issue, to avoid the pinch, I found that if I put my finger on the trigger just a little past the first joint, it gets the finger up just high enough so that when it does the reset, I no longer am getting that pinching at the bottom, so my finger is just a little bit higher. So it's a matter of adapting my shooting style to the gun. So both of those issues being somewhat corrected have brought the gun up a little bit in the standings. Still not enough to beat the 365, but Mossberg Redemption Part 2, it's a reliable gun, and with those issues at least improved, it is a better gun. I won't give it a 5-star rating yet, but at this point I'll give it maybe a 4+. So short, down and dirty on the Mossberg MC1sc Redemption Part 2, trigger issues somewhat solved. Thanks for visiting Riders Range.